show you how easy it is to use these Derwent pencils. They're the Inktense pencils. They're a lot of fun, and I made a template for you if you wanted to use it later. This is of a rose, and here is the rose that I had drawn in with the Derwent pencils. I used, try to show you the colors: poppy red, fuchsia, and violet for the flower itself. Now, it's hard to see the fuchsia color on the pencil itself. The end of the pencil shows you the coloring, and the fuchsia is mostly what I used. I went in with the poppy red and worked it in more towards the edges where there would be shadowing, thinking about where the deeper areas would be on the flower itself. So that's where I used this particular poppy red so that it would set it off a little better, showing some shading. I also did that with the violet, and I'll just go in and add a little bit to that now, thinking about the inside of the flower where it's going to be a little bit darker, and I'm putting in a little bit of the violet. And then I chose two different color greens, and this actually, it says tan, and this one is field green. Let's see if I can grab a different green here. This one is fair green, and I went in and put in some of these colors for the leaves and for the stems. I'm going to wait to do a little bit of extra detail after I paint this basic out. And that's how I got the greens on there. I use different variations of green, and the tan actually does have a green kind of a hue to it by how I see it. This is the DaVinci Travel Brush, and what's really cool about it is you can take it anywhere and it doesn't destroy the bristles. So you just twist it and take the brush out and then turn it and attach it into its drum right here and twist it together. The trick is, when you're finished, make sure you spike the hair on your brush and be very careful when you're putting it back into its tube, into that drum, so that you don't catch the hairs and splay them out. It's a really handy brush. I have this, I take this along with my travel watercolor set, and I love it. So let me just paint a little bit of this on so you can see. This, of course, is a rose, and I'm just going to dip my brush. I always have paper towels next to me, and it just helps if I don't want my brush loaded with a lot of water. You have to be really careful on the furrow that there isn't water here and it drips itself down onto your paper. That does happen. Usually when you're painting a flower, you think about painting in the center first. So you can start here with the center and then let the water, add a little extra water to it to go out more towards the edges. So rinse that. Now you're not locked in and stuck. If you find that you want more colors elsewhere, you can always add it to your painting. I'm starting with the outside edge of the petal, and I'm pulling it toward the center of the flower. I want it to fade out, almost like an ombre look, where it'll fade itself into the center. And I want it a little lighter toward the tip of the petal where the light would touch it more. So there's the petal, and then where the tip is a little bit lighter, so I'm going lighter with that. darker towards where it would be towards the center, and then let it, you can pull it up, kind of tease it out a little bit off of there, off of that section, to show the edge of the petal where it'll be a little bit lighter. And I'm going to tease that out towards the edge where I actually have a line where it can touch. Now, once you start feeling your brush get a little drier, just dunk your tip in, just like dunking the toe, and you can brush it a little on your paper towel if you're afraid of it getting away from you. But I did have an instructor that used to call it advanced watercolor when it used to bleed, and she always was thrilled to see the bleeding of the watercolor, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of freedom and takes away a little bit of that fear that the watercolor is going to get out of control. Now, the cool thing about the Inktense pencils is that it's like using a crayon, but knowing that where you put the color, you can move it around a little bit. So you're not stuck with wherever the crayon goes and it doesn't have that rough look. And sometimes you want that rough look, but in this case, I want to smooth it a little bit. Now you see where I took that petal and smoothed it a little bit up to this line, and taking it and trying to move it a little bit so it looks like one shape. Moving around the color a little. And this is actually a petal that's going to be coming off of here, so I want to pull that color up to show a petal right there. And there's a little bit of that violet I want to activate here, and I can even take a little bit of that and move it. If you can see that. So it's starting to look a little more like a rose. And then I'm going to activate this and pull it out and tease that color up here. So you can see that. I'm simply painting in my sketchbook. This is not a watercolor paper, and if you wanted to use watercolor paper, by all means, you can use your watercolor paper. This is just a simple study, and I'm using my sketchbook. It's just regular sketchbook paper. So this is a bud, and I'm going to come up and paint in where I have my color already put. And the same on this side. I may not even need to dunk my brush again in water, which is awesome. Okay. I almost have most of my flower completely painted. I have a bottom petal here. I'm going to pull it in. And now you can see the rose shape right here. And I am going to rinse my brush because I want to go now for the greens. So I'll start at this stem right here and pull it down. It's just going to enrich that color, make it look a little more like paint. It does, you do have a lot of control with these Inktense pencils. I love them, and they're great to take along. I've brought them up to our cottage with us, and I've been able to sit out by the water and paint. They're really easy. They're fun to take with you. You don't want to have them smash around though in your bag. So you want to take care of them. You don't want to have them banging around in there. It's not good. It'll break the inside, the color on the inside of your pencil. So then when you sharpen it, they can possibly snap. So you do want to take care of them. You can't be real rough with them, but they are a lot of fun. So you could also use the same pattern that I have, and you could use regular watercolor with that. I want to touch this again. Hopefully I can move it. Yeah, I needed to move a little bit more. This little blossom. Rinse. And pull the stem down. And I can't remember the name of that part. If you want to message me and let me know the name of these little, I can't remember the name of these little pieces that come off of the blossom, the buds, I mean. So, and I'm just going to take my lines and pull them. I was hoping that I could pop in another leaf here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, and even though my paper has some water on it, I'm going to still put that on, and it still works. You can throw in lines right on your wet paper. If you wanted to reinstate some lines, it's easy to do with these Inktense pencils. The same with this bud. I can reinstate these lines with the bud. I would like to find the violet. With pastels, I tend to look more just at the color itself, but with these pencils, I need to find the end of the pencil itself to see the way that they're color coded. It helps so much that you can't really look at the color and know for sure what you're getting on the tip. Sometimes it looks like a different color, and you just have to check the end of the pencil. And that looks a little dark to me, but I may go in and even touch it again. Might even be able to lighten it up. I don't know. I could try to dab it off. I don't know if it'll pull off of there. Sometimes you can lift, but that one, they are very intense. These colors are intense. I don't hate it. I think it can stay. So then I can go up and do my stem for the rose, and I can add any of the greens that are on there. It's really simple. Can you see how fast this is gone? This is something that's real quick. It's not anything that takes a lot of time at all. It's very fast. This would be a really nice Mother's Day gift. I'm always one that wants to give away gifts, give away artwork a lot. I sketch portraits and just, I don't know, I just love giving them away. People are very receptive to that, and this is just a personal gift. So now I'm going to go in. Roses, have thorns. I think there's a song about that somewhere. And you can go in. These sharpen with just a regular sharpener, and I don't think I have one with me. I don't really need to sharpen it, but I was going to show you just sharpen it with a regular sharpener. It's really simple, and you can go in and throw in some thorns if you want to. If you want to get more realistic with it, you can pop in your thorns, and let's see, some thorns would be here. Just like making, it's almost like a comma, only it'd be upside down. It's you hold and pull up and push down, hold, pull up, push down, hold, pull up, and often it'll make it a little thicker on the one side and a little thinner at the tip. So I'm going to go in and touch these little thorns. And if I get quiet, I say this a lot, but please forgive me because I have to think when I draw and paint, and that means moving into my right brain, and I have to get quiet for a second. So after I'm done with that, let's see, I don't think I got these leaves right here. No. Or these. I'm moving a little bit of this green over to this side, and that's probably where I put the tan. Let's see, I'm going to go in with a little bit of, I love this violet. I think I might put even a little bit, oh, this is not violet, this is fuchsia. I warned you about that. It's hard to tell. It looks like violet at the tip, but it's not. Now this looks very dark. It just looks even darker than violet. So I might throw a little bit of this in. And I'd like my leaves a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to go in with my green, and I'm going to throw in some larger leaves. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. I'm using the side. I often say there's like the toe of the pencil is the tip and the foot is the side. And with the toe, you can make skinny lines. But with the foot, if you lay it on its side, you can make wider lines. So I'm just taking it, doing a teardrop type shape like this. It's so simple. By using the foot, you can get so much color down so much faster. It's easy. Just makes, these pencils make things so easy, it's insane. So I wish they'd had these when I was a kid, but I was too poor to afford anything like that anyway as a child. So I guess God just gave me what I needed at the time. So I'm going to make all of these a little bit bigger. Go in and just make them bigger. I think it makes it richer. And I love the extra colors. And even where my paper's wet, it's pulling that color. So, and you could even throw in some more lines if you wanted to. And you can leave them like that. That's just how awesome these pencils are. They're just so cool. I'm going to put on a little bit of water. I want to see what it's going to do with this particular painting. And if you wanted to, even in the background, take some of this paint that you already have loaded on your brush and throw in just some separate leaves into the background to add depth. You can even jump in with your watercolor paints with this. You're not just stuck with one medium, you know, you can use whatever you want. But there's pretty much my rose. I think I'd like to go back in with that violet, and I'd like to put in a little bit more violet into some of these areas that I'd like to have a little darker. And I don't want to go crazy because it's not a purple rose, it's actually more of a pink rose. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of my fuchsia and enrich it a little bit, and I might even touch it with a little bit more water. But sky's the limit, you know, do what you want, break the rules. I'm using the foot of my pencil again, just the side of it. And if you're a person that is a sketcher and you're nervous about painting, these pencils, oh my goodness, they lend themselves so well to being able to sketch and paint. So I encourage you to do that. And I don't want to overwork this. I tend to do that. I tend to overwork. And then just take your pencil, I'll probably pick a green one, and sign your name to it. You can get real small with these pencils, and I probably will throw in some more greens. I don't really like my name to stand out real far, so and I'm going to leave some of those as just basic pencil lines. I love how they look. It just gives me a whole different texture. So there it is. That's what I got for you today, and it's very hard for me to stop what I'm doing. I like to just keep going. So I hope that this gave you just some other ideas of things that you can take out and travel and use. You can sit in your studio or at your kitchen table or wherever you want to work and just enjoy painting without worrying about lots of mess. I'm going to try to get my light in here a little closer, see if you can see this even better. It's kind of tricky here. We're getting a snowstorm. Things are a little dark here, but hopefully this inspires you. Goodbye from the art stable.